Coming to you live from the palatial studios of PBJ Productions. Welcome to Patrick and BJ Talk Real Estate, where we talk about life, the universe, and everything as it relates to real estate. Hey everybody, it's BJ.
And Patrick.
And we're back talking all things real estate. And today we want to talk about the coming or proposed, is it coming for sure, I guess, proposed changes to Airbnb and short-term rentals.
So the announcement was, the first step was increasing the fines associated to people who are not in compliance, Airbnb short-term rental operators first, if they're not in compliance. And then I think by the time May 1st comes around, they have to start registering their properties with whatever they're going to make up a system, I guess. So they'll know who's operating under compliance and who's not.
Yeah.
Something like this. And they're going to take away, if it hasn't happened already, they're going to take away the grandfathering of any transient zoning. And this is a Victoria thing. For like non-conforming use of property, they're going to take that privilege away from those operators.
And the intent is this is going to somehow help the housing and rental market.
This will save the rental market and the housing market and bring affordability to British Columbia. Well, at least that's what they say.
Okay. So this goes right along with the rescission period and the 30 day, the vacancy, sorry, not 30 days.
I'll just throw them all. I'll just dump truck it.
Yeah.
So speculation tax, home buyers rescission period. This is consumer protection move. There was a foreign buyer ban for the 2 years. We have like a year and a little bit left. That's federal, not provincial.
Right.
Vancouver already has a vacancy tax.
The vacancy tax. That was the one I was getting to, the 30-day thing. Yeah.
So all of these things have been meant to help with housing affordability, trying to bring on more homes onto either to the rental market or to the resale market.
Yeah.
Which of course that has almost had a year of existence.
Yeah.
And prices interest rates have gone up. So to be fair, it has affected some prices, but this spring, prices have rebounded and still increased since then. So interest rates have affected prices more than any of these government policies, if it's provincial or federal changes.
Right.
But there will be a provincial election coming up. So they're doing everything possible that they can say, even if it doesn't have success, that they're at least
say that they're doing it.
They're at least doing something, right?
Right. Because that was, as I recall, when there came the end of dual agency was an election year as well in 2018.
Oh boy.
Right. So getting back to
condos.
Yes. And the fact that there's a belief that this is somehow going to make a real difference in housing prices.
Okay. So I wanted to talk about this in such a way that not all realtors are created equally. I mean, not all condos are created the same. They are different from each other.
Yeah.
And my first example, before we get into Airbnb or short-term rental type condos, is there's a huge price difference between what's the most expensive condos, brand new condos, without getting into all these nuances or extra details. New condos drive the prices, right? Those are the most expensive. That's always the nicest. I'm not talking about waterfront, you can't compare waterfront to not waterfront, those kind of things. And then number two, there's going to be the resale market.
Yeah.
There's going to be age-restricted condos.
Sure. Which now is only 55 and over.
Only 55, so it's not 20 and over, 19 over, 40 over. The province eliminated that a year ago.
Right.
So tell me about if we had two exact same condos, they're on the same street, they're on the same side of the street, the same facing, the same year built, same amenities, everything. One is no age restrictions, one is a 55 plus age restriction. Same square footage, same everything.
Yeah.
Are they the same price?
Absolutely not.
And which one would be more expensive? Which one would be less expensive?
Well, obviously, the less expensive one is going to be the one with the age restriction, and you're going to pay more for the one that's doesn't have the restriction on it.
And so why would the one that has an age restriction, to me it'd be like, oh wow, well there's no little kids running around screaming or newborns up at night and the walls are thin maybe. It's more exclusive to, let's say, my age group. I'm not 55, not just yet. And why?
I'll be 55 next year. Go figure.
I'll get you a 55 plus condo if you want.
Yeah.
So So to me, I think like that feels exclusive. Why would they be less money? The
Because
55 age restricted.
I think you have a smaller buyer's market
It's
or a smaller buyer's pool.
we have a smaller buyer pool. We have less demand for that product.
Yeah.
It's always at a different price.
Yeah.
Being lower.
Yeah.
Okay. So when we had the privilege of a condo being able to be used as a short-term rental, what was the price compared to one that didn't have any special restrictions or privileges?
I think it was pretty similar, depending on if it was the same condo on the same street. Maybe there's a little bit more value for the buyer on the one that allows short-term rentals. But if they're going, here's how I would preface it: if they're looking at it to live in it, there's not really that much more value for them one way or the other. If they're looking at it with, I'm going to live in it and maybe eventually I'm going to rent it, or I'm just going to buy this straight out as an investment property, then that's a different animal altogether. But when you have an investor, I think you're looking at a different market than you have somebody that's looking for a condo to live in.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you prefaced it because then it saves me describing it.
So, yeah, so that's my take on it.
So the numbers would show that people have paid a premium for condos that may not be livable for full-time, let's say, rental or occupation from
Yeah.
the owner, but it's an investment with the ability to have a short-term rental, have an increased
Yeah.
income off of it, rather than a long-term rental.
Right.
So you described it might not be suitable. So what may not be suitable might be smaller than
Usually
the
they're
average
smaller.
condo.
Yeah, a lot of them, right? I think of stuff in the Janyan.
That's a great example, right? And then, do they have parking spaces?
Usually not.
Usually not. So again, there's some strikes against it, right? So my point is, not all condos are created equally, and the transient zoning, Airbnb type condos will be in a different category now.
Yeah.
They might end up being less than the average condo price.
It would
And,
make,
and I don't think it's going to affect the other condos. Just like 55 pluses, they're less expensive,
Yeah.
and they don't affect the other prices.
yeah, and I would add to that parking is pretty important, especially if you're in downtown Victoria and you're gonna buy a condo. Mm-hmm. I have clients that were looking for a condo, whether in Decorah or wherever. The point is they don't have a car yet, but they're adamant we have to get parking with the condo because we're going to buy a car once we've finished with the condo purchase.
Buying a condo downtown and enjoying the lifestyle, let's say like you have a bike or an alternative, there's public transportation.
Sure.
Right. So you can't get public transportation in the middle of the night, but you could get a cab.
Sure.
There's ways to work around that, right?
Yeah.
It's just less convenient. And I think
Yeah,
we still are in a convenient lifestyle.
Yeah, and for them too, they're looking at. We looked at one condo, which would have been great, but when we looked at the bus routes, it was just so infrequent. It's great that the bus comes there,
Right, but
if it only comes there,
yeah.
but if it only comes there once every hour or 90 minutes,
Yeah.
how do you get to work?
Right. You have to
Right.
it takes you an extra hour or whatever because you have to schedule earlier
Yeah.
or get
Or-
home that much later.
Yeah,
to
or
catch
how do you
that
get
bus.
your groceries?
Yeah, well,
Right. So anyway,
There's
these
a lot
are
of challenges
I
behind
just say that to say condos without parking spots have always been less of an issue for investors. Right? Because they're just looking at we're renting the room or renting the condo for X number of dollars a night.
yeah, and most of these short-term rentals, they're within the core of Victoria anyways, right?
Yeah.
So in that case, I did find out of the people. So I think there's a mixed reaction so far with owners or operators of short-term rentals.
Yeah.
Some of them are rushing to the market.
Okay.
Some of them are rushing to the market. I would venture to guess there'd be like a 30%. Just thinking about different personality types.
Yeah.
Some people are a wait and see type. Some people are like, oh, wait a minute, let's not just rush, but I think we should. But they're maybe not ready to part ways with their investment yet.
Yeah.
And then let's say 30% just knee-jerk reaction. You know what? I don't want any of this headache anymore. I don't want those fines. Let's put it on the market. Let's get rid of it. Right. Before the consequences of the market might affect them in their mind. Right.
Yeah.
Which I think they will be worth less, but they're never going to be what a livable long-term condo would be like.
Yeah. 100%.
So, but I found out a little bit more of those properties that are short-term rentals,
Yeah.
transient zoned, that have been grandfathered. None of them have sold so far.
Yeah.
So right now, obviously, and I'm not saying we know exactly what's going to happen by May 1st. I think there's going to be a lot of developments happening and changes to this rule. I think there's going to be changes. This is my prediction. I don't think it's going to land May 1st the way it's been announced. I bet there's going to be some exceptions or alterations to this legislation. That's my final word on that.
Yeah, I agree. You know, it seems to be a moving target. We've seen in the past that some of these things haven't been well thought through and haven't been planned. We saw all sorts of stuff come out and come to us without any actual explanation of how it was going to be implemented, what the requirements were going to be, what the dates were going to look like. So I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus. But,
I will.
But Patrick can do that. But we've seen stuff come out that's been pretty unprepared and been done.
The home buyer rescission period.
Yeah.
I sat on meetings for that.
Yeah.
As like a stakeholder to put in input. Nothing was like even taken.
Yeah. So, but we digress and
for like a year.
Yeah. Let's this degenerate into a rant.
Where's the bus? I'm going to throw somebody under it. But that's just what we have to deal with. Right?
I mean,
that's just the way it is.
So
Things keep changing.
Yeah, so that's what's happening with the short-term rentals and condos, and we'll see what it's going to look like really in May, and that's when we'll know what it's going to be like. And
or sooner, we'll see.
Yeah.
Or they'll let it happen and then claw it back somehow.
Yeah, and that's happened also. So. So thank you for joining us today and taking some time to be with us. And if you haven't, please like the video and subscribe for us. We're over 100 subscribers now. Our next goal is to get over 200. And when you subscribe, it just makes sure that you don't miss anything, because we're out 3 times a week, 2 times a week,
2 and 3 times a week. Yeah, absolutely.
We've got some of our vlogs that we've been doing in the community and the neighborhoods and things like that. And we've got some stuff coming up here with Christmas on the way. So just do that for us, and that way you won't miss anything. Helps us with growing the channel. If you think there's anybody that would appreciate what we're talking about, please share what we're doing, share what we have, and yeah.
And if you're thinking about buying property or selling property anywhere, sort of southern Vancouver Island, even the Gulf Islands, we can help you with that. So just reach out to us, either phone, text, email, anything like that is good, and we'll get in touch with you. Awesome.
Yeah. And
Thanks for watching.
And that's the way it is.